Hey guys, Tyler from Smallcraft, Fisherman Smallcraft Outfitters again. Another one of our quick and dirty videos. I know these boats have been out a while. It's a Moken 10 version 2 by Feelfree Kayaks. Due to the COVID supply chain issues, we've been trying to get them. They're very popular. We just got our first load of them in this last week. All but one have been sold already. We got 10 in and they were all gone. Actually, 8 of them were gone before they even got here. So very popular platform, a lot of bang for the buck. Just wanted to give you kind of our viewpoint of another walkthrough on them. I know others have done great reviews. Just wanted to give you a kind of a walkthrough after we unbox them here, or unbag them rather. All right, so starting at the front here, so this is the Moken 10 Standard version 2. There are two versions of the Moken 10. There's the Moken 10 Standard and Moken 10 Lite. The Lite is more like the Moken 12.5. It's a narrower hull. It's got tighter pontoon, tri-tune underneath it. It paddles a little faster. It's a little lighter. It's going to be less stable though. So this is the Standard, but it's been upgraded to a version 2. The old Standard had the groove foot areas instead of foot pegs like the Moken 10 Lite has. It had the old Moken neoprene seat, which was pretty comfortable for a strap-in seat. But the 10 version 2 Standard is quite the upgrade. So starting here at the front, the hull design is actually the same as before. This I always tell people it's more of a narrower lure hull. So it's got that wider tri-tune, that super flat, stable tri-tune hull, which is going to make it more stable. It's just a bit narrower than the actual lure series. It's a lighter boat. Up here is the front cockpit area. The old 10 Standard had a cockpit area like this. They used a net. The net was actually kind of cool, except if you get a fish hook in a net, it is not a pleasant experience removing that without destroying the net. So the bungees are a welcome upgrade. Two scupper holes up here up front to drain the front out. So if you're taking water over your bow, your front tank well doesn't fill up with water. So that's a smart add there. Getting into the cockpit, this is where the biggest change is. So the old Moken 10 Standard had the flatter hatch like the version 1 Lure 10 or the Moken 10 Lite. This hatch is actually pretty cool. It's a little shallow. I think it's the same depth as the old one. However, the lid itself is a lot thicker. I mean, that's a thick lid. So what I actually did to test it out is I put in a 12 amp hour Amped Outdoors lithium battery, and it fits in here perfectly. You would just have to strap it in so it doesn't fall out when it shakes or what have you. But you could easily mount a sonar to this lid and then put a battery or two up in here, strap them in, even put like USB ports on the side of this lid or something like that and tie them into those electronics and have power for days. It would all be self-contained in that lid, which I think is it's kind of a feature that really hasn't been advertised, but I just noticed it in my messing around with the kayak. So solid plan there. You would just have to put your transducer through the scupper hole or do a through hull. Actually a through hull probably wouldn't work great in this, but I would do the transducers through the scupper hole or an arm over the side. Scupper hole would be ideal in this situation. So moving on, we have the Feelfree track system here. It's a top mount instead of the flush mount, which are a lot beefier than the flush mount ones typically. And then the foot pegs. So it has the same version 1 foot pegs as the Lure 10. Also, all the version 2s have these foot pegs. The reason for those is the rudder controls require a third-party foot peg that's patented by SmartTrack. So that costs Feelfree more money to buy it from them and then add it to the boat. So they were able to keep prices down by using their own foot pegs, which are fully adjustable. You can turn these, adjust them how you want. They're super sturdy. And I'll get into the rudder here in a second. So moving to the seat, this is the Feelfree Easy Rider seat. It's the same seat that they actually have on the Moken 12.5 version 2, which is my primary personal boat. Quite comfortable. I mean, I got back issues and I floated on it for 8-10 hours at a time and had no problems with it. Not quite as adjustable or comfortable as the gravity seat on the Lure series, but for a light stadium style chair, it is extremely comfortable, and it dries out really fast because this is all just mesh in here. So as far as the seat adjustments go, I have it in the low position right now. To move it in the high is super easy. I'll try to do this one-handed holding a camera. You just loosen that front strap, move this up into the upper position, and then I can't do this one-handed, but you take this strap out and just feed it through this back one and cinch it down straight up. So it goes straight down to hold that in tight. So that is a welcome change from the old 10 standard, because it just had the flat in seat, no adjustment. Also the standing platform, the old 10 had kind of the foot grooves and a bulge here and a little half-turn hatch there. Really not a lot of room for standing up. You could stand in it because it was stable enough, but it was just awkward because there's no really standing platform. So a couple foot pads here to stand on. Then under the deck there's some channels to drain water away. You've got your scupper holes to drain water. This is actually the same deck as the 12.5, just shorter, the Moken 12.5 version 2. A couple of bungees here to store some tackle trays in, which is kind of nice. And then moving to the back, we have our rod holders as it did in the old version. One thing I want to point out on the seat is there's these bolts here, and you can actually adjust those. You can take the bolts out and move the seat back further if you want. I have the first run, one of the first Moken 12.5 version 2s, and my Easy Rider seat didn't have that. It just has one position, which honestly it doesn't bother me, but it is kind of nice they added that adjustability to move them back. It's the same on the Big Fish 108s as well, and I think they've put that in the Johnnies too, potentially. I can't remember. But moving to the back, tank well, we have the rails, we have our drain plug, we've got a handle, but we also have the molded in handle, which is nice for strapping down, carrying. But here in the tank well, we have the bungee that you can disconnect here, but one cool feature is it has these grooves. You can actually put a milk crate in there and it'll sit in those squared grooves. Keeps it from slopping around so much. And then obviously the patented wheel and the keel from Feelfree to help move it around. Super easy, it's a light boat, super stable. I mean, this is a great all-around boat, and at, you know, 650 bucks, 660 retail, I think. It's a lot of boat for the money. I mean, it's essentially taking the best of both worlds of the Moken 12.5 version 2 and the Feelfree lure as far as stability goes, and putting it into an affordable package. I mean, the big thing with the 10, I've had customers that bought the version 1 of the standard, and the reason they sold it is because of the seat and the lack of rudder. Given it has a lure hull, it's flat, stable, but it doesn't track the truest because it's not a very deep hull and it's not a very long keel. So that has been fixed by offering a rudder option. So a key thing on these V2s is the uphaul cable for the rudders in the middle. That big beaver tail rudder is a bit harder to pull up than the old smaller Smart Track rudder, if you're familiar with that. So they move the uphaul cable into the middle, so it's an inline pull straight up on that big rudder, which helps. And then these are for your steering cables. Rudder goes in the back here. I mean, putting a rudder in this boat would just make it an ultimate creek, pond. I mean, you could use this in pretty much anything, as far as anything that you would use a lure in. Or, I mean, the only thing that I would prefer a Moken 12.5 for is for longer distance paddling, just because it's going to be a little faster, but this is going to be more stable. It's also going to turn a little easier because it has a flatter, wider, shorter keel on it, hull. So, I mean, you add that rudder and that would really make a difference. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you order a rudder kit for this, if you order it after you get the boat, make sure you order a version 2 rudder kit from Feelfree. Reason being is the version 2 kits come with the Smart Track foot pegs that you need to swap out here that accept the tow controls for the rudder, because these foot pegs that come stock on the version 2 lures, the version 2 Mokens, do not accept the rudder foot controls. So you'll have to swap those out. Not a big deal, it's just a couple screws. It's just a matter of accepting that cable system that they use. So there it is. Great boat. I mean, this lime one here is our last one remaining. I'm having a hard time not keeping it myself, frankly, because I love my 12.5 Moken, but I would like something shorter that I can just throw a crate and a couple rods in and just take it out for a quick 1 or 2 hours after work for a paddle or some fishing. Also, I have a short bed truck. It would be nice just to throw it in the back and not need a bed extender or anything like that. So we'll see. But there it is. If you guys have any questions, as always, comment below. Make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we plan on doing a giveaway of some kind. Haven't figured it out quite yet, but we have all sorts of goodies that we could get out to our loyal watchers. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.